It's always so good to be with you every Sunday morning. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Randy Barcella, and you are listening to the Real Estate Revealed radio show, enjoyed every Sunday morning, 8 to 9 a.m. And if you missed any part of that first segment with the great Vince Aricchio, the premier real estate attorney, boy, get out to the Facebook and you can watch the video of him right now. Real Estate Revealed on Facebook. And continuing more great information, purchasing STRs and vacation rentals in Illinois. And we've got the famous Teresa Mueller, the managing broker owner of the Trellium Group. Good morning, Teresa.
Good morning. Thanks again, Randy.
And you know what? Let's let our audience know what, again, is STRs.
We've cleared up it's definitely not a disease. STRs are short-term rentals or vacation rentals. And this really falls into the category of anything rented, a rental property for less than 28 days. And why would I talk about it on this show? Like, why would that even be important, especially as a commercial broker? Well,
when I used to travel years ago, when I got out of college, a marketing job, I had to look for short-term rentals. It was the Oakwood Apartments in different cities. And you can rent the apartment for 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Well, now we're on a completely different platform these days and what I'm looking at from the side of is investment, right? So remember in past episodes, I talked about cap rates and return on investment. And with short-term rentals, you have the capability, or vacation rentals, of exceeding a 15% cap rate or better, depending on the area, depending on the amenities, etc. And for the sake of Chicago, it's really more short-term rental. We do have some vacation, and I'll talk about that a little bit, but we each intend to have more short-term rental situation in Chicagoland area. So if you had to think, like, what would be some of your deciding factors if you were going to buy something for the purpose of short-term renting? What would be some of your considerations?
Views, surrounding areas.
View would be one of them.
Parking. If I have a business.
Mm-hmm.
Buy some amenities like restaurants or nightlife.
Right, so walkability and...
Are the utilities included?
Okay, so one of the very, very first things that you want to consider is it personal use versus just investment? So are you going to vacation there some of the time? Are you going to use it for retirement? Or is it solely for the purpose of investing?
I was thinking for business. I don't know.
And that could be an option. So
I'm sorry, with your fun presentation, I wasn't going tax route, okay?
Well, tax is one of them.
Whether it's business or pleasure, this or personal, this is like a tax topic.
Right, and so
I don't like the tax.
So, you don't love taxes? I thought everyone loved taxes.
No, not so much.
So from a bigger picture perspective, just deciding how are you going to use the property. If it's purely just an investment, that would change what kind of criteria that you have. But if it's for you, you might say, hey, I love water, I like nature, I want to be by an entertainment venue like Disney, whatever. So that's going to change the type of location. We also, and the type of place. So if you're Disney or Gatlinburg, who's going to go there, right? Families, probably a single family house you might buy there. Whereas here in Chicago, if it's business or someone's coming to a hospital or a university.
I see you water skiing all the time and running near a lake, so that's probably your
Lake Carroll. So I'll get to Lake Carroll in a little bit because that is a place that I visit frequently. And Indiana, right? Valpo.
Well, yeah, you raised a good point. I didn't realize, but a lot of people come for short-term stays to get treatment at Northwestern.
That's
or
exactly
these downtown,
right.
Especially Rush, these downtown locations.
And so that's a consideration. When you're in Chicago, you want to be by universities, hospitals.
They used to stay at the Four Seasons, and there's the walkway over the street connecting to this hospital where the surgeries are.
And then you want to drill down to even more specific is what are the regulations? You have to look, we talked about the association bylaws and whatever. So does that going to prohibit short-term rental? Also your city and your county. Right now, Naperville, that's something we're discussing, STRs. Is it something that residents want? Because they get scared. They're like, oh my God, there might be a party next door to me. If you actually talk to most people who own or manage short-term rentals, parties are typically not the issue. And even if they are, there are ways to mitigate it or prevent it. Another thing is, okay, is it worth it, right? From a financial standpoint, because I'm talking about investment. Do your market analysis, your research, also tax implications. We talked about that. How is it going to benefit you? There's different ways to use to your tax advantage. Who's going to manage the property? Are you going to do it? Are you going to hire someone to do that? Because obviously that impacts your financial analysis. And then marketing, there's so many great platforms nowadays like Airbnb, VRBO. You could actually have your own webpage and drive traffic that way. Might be a little difficult to do in SEO, but you can go and talk to businesses. So okay, let's give an example. So Lake Carroll is somewhere I go, not Valpo is another place I go. But one thing that you really need to check, and by the way, if you want to see me at Lake Carroll skiing and all that stuff, you can go on my Instagram and YouTube, because that won't be on my Trillium page.
Oh,
But
I like that. You may get more gentlemen suitors than you expect.
so I have some fun videos there. I just taught my 10-year-old how to ski. So that was like a big proud parent moment. Now I've made him into a ski maniac. His name's TJ, so I call him Ski J now.
Awesome.
But at Lake Carroll, which is a super fun place, and they have activities year round, it might be a great place for personal use. You cannot short-term rent without a special permit use through the city and county. They're talking about changing it, but right now that's not capable. Whereas there are places that you can have that sort of nice amenities in Northern Illinois. You just can't do it at Lake Carroll. I don't know about Valpo. That's another place I go, but I haven't tried that. So, one thing also to consider right now is the COVID time. People said, well, what about, how are short-term rentals doing? So yes, March, April, forget about it. It was terrible. But once they started opening up again, they saw that people were ready to get out. And in some cases, if people were fleeing cities, they're like, there's nothing here. I don't want to be around people. They were going and renting these places longer than the short term. They may have negotiated something longer. But the point is that they are opening back up. So people thought, oh no, short-term rental, that's a dead deal. It's not. That's people are still vacationing and looking for places or a better environment, work environment. If they're home all the time, they may say, hey, I'm going to go somewhere for 2-3 months, a better work environment than my tiny little, place that I'm living in the city or whatever.
And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Real Estate Revealed radio show, enjoyed every Sunday morning, 8 to 9 a.m. This is Teresa Mueller, the premier commercial realtor, talking about what's new for short-term rentals and vacation rentals.
So in this COVID era, what is another thing that you'd have to consider with a short-term rental?
Well, the disinfectant and the safe environment, health concerns.
And if you talk to some of the successful Airbnb type people, they said, yeah, we had to amp up the cleaning. We are making certain we're communicating that to our guests. And we're probably going to do it forever, right? Like this is a new good policy that we had to take care of. And I believe Airbnb actually has like, hey, you're going to have COVID cleaning practices, etc. So, if I were going forward and I were investing, I would have my own amenities, but I will say that the bottom line is also try to be cash positive. I'm typically one of those that's not speculative, have cash now, right? Speculative is appreciation. That's gravy as far as I'm concerned. So I focus on, what's now. So what do I always say at the end of the show, Randy?
Why worry? Stress gets you nowhere. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, this too shall pass. Definitely be thankful. Worrying is not useful. So I always love being on here. Thanks, Randy.
How can somebody get a hold of you? You can't let the audience go without knowing how to call you or where to go to email you.
Well, they probably want to know the YouTube, which is under Teresa Mueller, or the Instagram TL Mueller. But I'm also at Trillium.com, and my phone number is 630-715-9999.
Or just get out to the website, realestaterevealed.com.